Good evening. This side Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. As we speak, Treasury Consulting is a multinational headquartered group based out India, Singapore, and Hong Kong. We are a multi-million valuation group having 0% debt and 100% cash rich company, a complete profitable company. Today I'm covering a topic called quants. And now we are entering into the world of quantum computing. So today is the beginning of a very important topic called quants. As we speak, the financial markets are changing. So when I started my career in 2007, hardly 10% of the Indian corporates were having Reuters. And even in Reuters, they were having the standard screens, which means no more customization, a standard screen which they were looking at. But the American and the European financial market changed a lot after 2008. So 2008 having two phases. The one is the great financial crisis. Lehman Brothers, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, almost everyone faced the heat. Now that's a separate question that some, few faced a higher quantity, few moderate, and few the lower quantity. We are not deliberating on that. Other phase is American financial system is a very resilient financial system. Now, by resilient financial system, I don't mean that they cannot fail. They can fail and they failed many times. But by resilient financial system, I mean that they innovate new products on a very often basis. That is the beauty of the game as compared to the Asian financial system, including Singapore. So when you speak about Singapore, Singapore copied the Western financial system. But unfortunately, now from the last several years, Singapore is failing and consistently failing. That's a separate thing. Now there is a terminology which is coming in the American and the European financial system, and that terminology is known as quants. By quants, I mean they are those people who are creating the financial models for the future. By future, I mean how the financial industry, would be probably 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 9 years down the line. Now, when I say they are those people who create financial models, I mean to say they create on a specific asset class. By specific asset class, I mean they are either FICC, in fact, triple C. When I say FI together, I mean fixed income. When I say C, I means currencies. Currency means FX, you can say. When I say the second last C, it means commodities. And when I say the last C, it means crypto. Because crypto is gaining. Only an idiot can say that crypto is not gaining. Because practically speaking, crypto is gaining. Hedge funds across the globe invested a huge amount in crypto assets. On time to time basis, multiple studies pertaining to crypto assets coming in public. Now, when we speak about quants, quant is just like a medical science. Now, in medical science, you have MBBS, which means a relevant person, he or she, knew the whole body, the whole structure, XYZ. But then you have masters, masters of brain, masters of heart, ENT, eyes, maybe different organs, gynae, and so on and so forth. Similarly, is the quant. So, one quant is a generic quant. A generic quant is a person who understands FICC, which means fixed income currencies and commodities. But he is jack of all and master of none. That's the biggest problem. Because in an American financial system, you don't need jacks, you need masters. Because Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and a lot of names I cannot mention because time is limited. They have huge exposures. Like if you refer the 10K, 10K means the annual report of Goldman Sachs, you will see that Goldman having a huge exposures in derivatives. So they don't need jacks, they need masters because a simplest mistake and it's a mess for Goldman Sachs. Having said that, the generic quant who knew FICC, which means fixed income currencies and commodities, he might not be able to survive in another 3 to 4 years. The reason being, generic quant work would be very difficult as the specifications in the asset classes are coming. So let me give you a very relevant example. A generic quant is a person who knew swaps. We have swaps in foreign exchange, we have swaps in currencies, we have swaps in commodities, we have swaps in IR. By IR, I mean interest rate. But now the LIBOR is more or less dismantled. And by the time June 2022 came, which is another 2 to 3 months from now, the LIBOR would completely be phased out. That's a separate thing that my personal opinion is I don't think that the world financial system as we speak is ready as far as the LIBOR dismantle is concerned. But that's a separate thing, right? Now the generic quant is aware about the IR swaps. By IR swaps, I mean interest rate swap. But having said that, the generic quant is not an expert as far as the SOFR swaps are concerned. Now, SOFR means secured overnight financing rate. As far as ESTR swaps are concerned, Euro short-term rate. As far as the SORA is concerned, Singapore overnight rate average. As far as SONIA is concerned, Sonia is not a girl name. Sonia means Sterling Overnight Index Average and relevant RFRs, which is risk-free rate. Now, that's a separate interpretation issue why we call them RFRs. Because as we speak, when the central banks of the globe, along with the governments, holding near about 63, I repeat, 63 trillion worth of debt, how come these are RFRs? That is another interpretation issue. But anyways, so generic quant might be aware about the IR swaps, that how IR swaps work. But the generic quant is not an expert as far as the SOFR swap is concerned. Now I will give you a simplistic example, and I'm sure that 99% of the people never heard this about, and I'm going to be deliberating this probably in my upcoming videos. There is a structure called switch currency structures. Now, what the hell is switch currency structures? In a multilateral loan agreements, or rather a multi-currency loan agreements. So let me create a hypothetical example. I repeat, hypothetical example. Goldman Sachs is funding to Microsoft, hypothetically, and Goldman Sachs is ready to lend them $1 billion. 1 billion. In this 1 billion, they are giving multi-currency structure like GBP, Euro, Swiss franc, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, depends upon the requirement of Microsoft. Now, in this multilateral or rather a multi-currency loan agreement, there is a concept called switch currency structure, which means that Microsoft might have taken a dollar loan, they can convert this into GBP loan, or they can convert this into Euro loan, they can convert this into Swiss franc loan, they can convert this into New Zealand dollar loan. Now, this is known as switch currency structures. Now, in a switch currency structures, there are IR swaps. By IR, I means interest rate swap. A generic quant might not aware about that because he don't have any exposure in that. So let me repeat one thing. Quant is a very fancy term. Quant is a very fancy term. But having said that, there are issues in that, and you need to learn that. This is Rahul Magan. You know my number 9899242978. 9899242978. Have a great time ahead.